So I don't want to sugarcoat anything as we get started in fat loss this year, and we're going to jump right into it. The best, healthiest, most sustainable form of fat loss is through building muscle. Here's why it's not through cardio. And when I say cardio, I mean anything that prioritizes exhausting yourself with endurance based exercises like jogging or biking or swimming or running or fast paced workouts or HIT classes, which is intensity interval training. Um, Cardiovascular exercise is good for your heart and your lungs, and it has a place in your workout routine. But even though it burns a decent amount of calories in the moment, it's not a great muscle builder. And muscle building is the key, or strength training, more specifically, is the key. See, as you increase strength, you increase metabolism. And that means that you'll be burning fat while at rest, while you're recovering, while you're sleeping. You'll be burning fat. Cardio doesn't do that well. See, with cardio, you might burn 300 calories during a long cardio session, which is generous, but it does a poor job of raising your metabolism. And think of it this way: your exercise choice communicates something to your body. And so, what does cardio communicate to your body? Well, it communicates that um, your body needs to hold on to its fat as reserves so that you can do long distance endurance type workouts. Um, and so it cardio is telling your body, let's be efficient with calories and let's hold on to fat so we can go for longer periods of time. And that's the opposite of what you want if you're trying to lose weight over time. But when you progressively build strength, your metabolism raises much faster and higher than with cardio. So it's a long term journey because building strength takes time. Uh, but when you raise strength, when you build strength, you raise your metabolism and your body turns into a calorie burning machine. Also, progression in the weight lifted, or what the fitness industry calls progressive overload, is the key to burning calories. So when you progress with a specific exercise, that's where you start to burn more and more calories. So, for example, if you apply that to cardio, let's say it's running, and maybe you go out and you've got goals to lose weight, and so you go and you run 20 minutes. We're actually really impressive. Um, but in that 20-minute workout, you burn some calories. Um, and maybe you lose weight at first, and you progressively overload that by now running for 30 minutes. After a few more weeks of that, you get to 45 minutes, maybe an hour after a period of time. But what are you going to do? Run an hour 30? If progressive overload, if advancing in an exercise is the key to burning more and more calories, and to building muscle, it just becomes inefficient and impossible to do more and more and more running. But think about it with lifting weights, with strength training. Think about using like a machine, for example, and you go to the gym and you start by doing a chest press at 20 pounds. Now, and you do 10 reps of that. Now, as you progressively overload, as you progress in this workout, you move it to 25 pounds or to 30 pounds. It's much easier to increase the effort that you're exerting, just either by um, increasing volume, like the amount of repetitions, or increasing the weight over time, making you stronger. And what's nice is you didn't increase your time at the gym. You're still there for 20 minutes. So I think this is why most people that lose weight or that like hit their weight goal gain it back within 2 years, because it's so heavily dependent on cardio that you didn't actually build a ton of strength, which is going to help maintain weight loss. If you did a bunch of cardio and you burned a bunch of calories and you got skinny that way, and maybe you hurt your ankle and now you can't run for a period of time, you don't have muscle that's on your body constantly burning calories even while you're at rest. It becomes a lot harder to maintain. So, this is why I've strategically named the group long term fat loss, because I could easily help you lose weight quickly. I mean, we can do that. That is an easy thing for us to do. Um, but so I could help you lose weight quickly, but if it comes at the expense of losing muscle, just to hit goal, you're going to plateau and you're going to gain all your weight right back. So the goal is to gain strength for fat loss. This is our goal. It not only is long term in that it will take a long time, it's a longer journey, but it's long term in that it's sustainable. Most of you will know this, but for those of you who don't, here's how muscle building works. When your muscles are learning new movements, um, and or are being challenged, you're creating micro tears in the muscle fibers, which sounds like a bad thing, but with proper rest and nutrition, the muscle grows back stronger. So, in this one paragraph, in just these last two sentences, we have covered three of our six pillars that we're going to focus on in our group. Three of these six pillars: strength training, nutrition, and rest. So, I hope that you are convinced with this brief philosophy, and maybe you're convinced, but in the philosophy, but you're not convinced that you are personally capable. But that's my job, is to make this achievable for you by easing you into the pool. And so I've broken this program down into three phases. Now, the first phase of this program should last about a month. And it will be somewhat challenging because it's going to ask you to build new habits, but it's going to work as a foundation for phases 2 and 3, where we'll turn up the heat a little bit. Each phase will address fitness, fuel, and overall health. Fitness, fuel, and overall health. So while we're on the topic, let's talk about some fitness fables before we get into your specific exercise routine. Here's some fitness fables, 5 of them, that we're going to debunk. Number 1, strength training makes women jacked. That's a fable. Ladies, you're not going to get bulky from strength training. This is why a lot of women will choose to do cardio over lifting weights, because they think cardio will make them like slim and tone, as opposed to lifting weights will just make them buff and they won't actually lose fat from it. But understand this: women that are jacked on purpose. Women that have huge muscles and are bulging have huge muscles because they have probably added testosterone into their supplements. Um, they're taking steroids potentially. If they're trying to get jacked, I mean, that's the only way that you're going to get jacked. And so don't think that just because you're lifting weights, you're going to get huge. Uh, your bodies are just built differently than men. And typically, when a woman builds her muscles, they build pretty lean naturally. Um, Number two, working out a specific area will lead to weight loss in that region. Fable. That's false. So, for example, doing sit ups won't cause you to lose belly fat. Doing bicep curls won't cause you to lose fat on your arm. Um, what we really want to focus on are the large muscle groups and grow muscle as a whole. So, if we're thinking about largest muscle groups, first is your legs, second is your back, third is your chest. Um, Most people just think about like their abs and their arms, but those are smaller muscle groups in comparison to your legs, your back, and your chest. We focus on large muscle groups. Large muscle groups demand that your body burns more calories. Okay. So don't just do sit ups, focus on the largest muscle groups in your body. Number three, sweating equals fat loss. Fable. So the goal, again, is to build muscle. And sometimes you sweat and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you sweat during a good workout, sometimes you don't. Therefore, you don't need pre workout. You don't need to wear trash bags. You don't need to sit in the sauna before or after your workout in order to lose fat. You're not sweating out fat. So remember, most of the calories that you burn will be in recovery. So as long as you give at least moderate intensity while in the gym, the amount of sweat that you lose won't matter. And anyway, if you sweat, the next time you drink water, you're going to replenish that in your body. That's not fat that's dripping out of you. So, number four, soreness is a good thing. That's a fable. That's false. Um, Now, you'll likely get sore in your first 6 to 8 weeks of lifting or whenever you're trying to learn a new movement. I'll still get sore, especially if I'm doing a new movement um, or as you increase weights. But sometimes soreness is an indicator that you're doing too much or that your form's not good. And it might be your tendons that are telling you they need a break. Um, so you have to aim for good form and just above moderate intensity. When I say good form, you'll see in all of the workout videos that I post, I'll talk about form. But if you, let's say you're doing a chest press machine, okay, and you have a good controlled press, you should be able to bring that weight back over the course of 4 seconds. It's controlled. You're not slamming it back down. If the weight is slamming, you're doing too much. You can't control the weight. That's not good form anymore. So it's a good controlled push, and then one, two, three, four. And then the next repetition, one, two, three, four. And so, anyway, soreness uh, isn't always a good thing. That shouldn't be your biggest aim or indicator of having a good workout. Number five, there's no such thing as lifting too much or too often. False. It's a fable. Your body can only support so much training. Your body can only support so much muscle growth. Just like you can overwater a plant, you can overtrain your muscles. You can harm the growth of your muscles. So, um, a good rule of thumb is I don't do more than 10 to 12 sets on any muscle group on any given week. So, I don't do more than 10 to 12 reps of chest workouts because my body can only support so much muscle growth. So, I spend about 20 minutes, 25 minutes maybe doing chest workouts every week. If I spent 2 hours, not only will I be will it be a waste of time, but I might be overtraining and harming my muscles and making it harder to recover and possibly risking injury. So those are 5 fitness fables that I wanted to cover. Now, before I get into the fitness routine, uh, I want to remind you where I've come from over these last few years. Okay. For 4 years, I have had an exercise intolerance because of my chronic illnesses. So, any sort of exertion, I would be on the verge of fainting. I had to stop going to the gym altogether because I couldn't lift anything. Picking things up, lifting a box that around the house was my wife's job over these last few years. Um, and then at my worst, uh, just a year ago, I was getting out of the hospital and I couldn't even sit on the toilet without Audrey having to hold my head up to keep me from fainting. And so not only did I have this exercise intolerance, I had what's called orthostatic intolerance. I couldn't stand up anymore because the blood wouldn't stay in my head. It would just rush. It would use, gravity would take its toll and all the blood would end up in my lower extremities. So I had to start with light, consistent exercise. I would lay down on the rug. I would grab Audrey's 5 pound weights and I would do some dumbbell presses. Um, and over time, I would increase volume. And I, over time, I would then move to 10 pounds or 20 pounds. That was a year ago. I had an orthostatic intolerance. I couldn't stand up. All my exercises were done laying down. And I had an exertion intolerance. And so I couldn't exert my body and really push it to the limit. I just had to start light and stay consistent. So that's my advice to you. One, you can do this. I know you can because I did it. I'm doing it. So many of my symptoms have been relieved because um, I started light and I stayed consistent. And I've moved into heavier weights and I've lost 55 pounds now. Um, so one, you can do it. Two, here's my advice: start light, stay consistent, and I'm telling you, you're going to be pleased with the results that you find. Okay, here's your fitness routine. And before I lay it all out for you, keep this in mind. Habits don't restrict freedom, they create it. Habits don't restrict freedom. Good habits will actually create freedom. It will make life better. They'll make you more mobile. They will balance out your hormones. They will give you better bone density. Um, you'll be better off with your cardiovascular health. And so habits don't restrict freedom. It might feel like it at the beginning. They create freedom. So here you go. Here's your fitness routine. 3 20 to 30-minute strength training exercises every week. 3 of them. Just maybe just think 20 minutes at a time. Okay. That's an hour a week. 3 20-minute strength training exercises every week. I encourage you to stretch whatever muscle group you're working on for 5 minutes before your workout. Start light, like start lighter than you think you need to do, um, just to learn the movements, to get your body used to moving weight around, to prevent injury and to prevent excess soreness. Like I said, every workout, you have a controlled concentric workout, okay, and then a 4-second eccentric movement or a what's called a negative movement. So shoulder press, a controlled press, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and now you're concentric back to eccentric, but it's a controlled movement. So use a weight that is challenging but doesn't compromise form, doesn't compromise your eccentric control. If you're slamming the weight, it's way too heavy. Here's another thing: rest at least 60 to 90 seconds between workouts, between sets. So here's the terminology: is I'll use shoulder press again. You go up one, down. That's 1 rep. Okay. For most of this program, I'm going to say do 3 sets of 10 repetitions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 1 set. Now, before you start the next set of 10, you've got to pause 60 to 90 seconds, 90 seconds, even better. Science says that somewhere between 1 minute and 4 minutes is best for building strength. I don't want you to do 4 minutes because I don't want you at the gym all day. And um, now it's no longer an efficient workout. So, but 90 seconds is a good rule. And when you lift um, that much, or when you're that consistent, it's really going to pay off. So think about it like this: if you do 10 reps and you give it 10 seconds and now you're bored, and so you just go ahead and you do the next set, and you knock out your workout in 8 minutes instead of 25. You just did a cardiovascular workout. See, if you had waited that 60 to 90 seconds, instead of just trying to burn through it, you would have been able to perform better repetitions. You may have been able to do heavier weight, resulting in, uh, that 60 to 90 seconds gives your muscles a little bit of recovery time so that you can go up in weight or up in volume. You can do more repetitions. But um, if you don't give any rest time between sets, then you're just doing cardiovascular work. You're working your heart and your lungs, and you're decreasing the amount of strength that you're building. Last thing, I want you to take a 5-minute walk after every meal. It's really good for you. It's really good for your digestion. I have been doing this for the last month and have really enjoyed it. It's been so good for um, just keeping me active throughout the day, um, but also it has really been helpful for my stomach. Now that we're talking about our stomachs, let's correct some food fables before we get into nutrition. Here's the first food fable: protein is only needed on the days that you lift. Fable. False. You don't only need protein on days that you work out, because if you're exercising regularly, protein not only helps to rebuild those muscle fibers after you work out, but it grows your muscles even the day after, or it helps maintain muscles even if you're not working out regularly. And so you need protein every day. Um, Number two, keto is the perfect diet. That's false. Now, keto can work. Um, just don't overdo it on the fat because that's really hard on your gut and your digestive tract. The thinking behind keto is that you stop eating sugar and you eat a lot of fat. And then your body starts to recognize fat as the energy source. And so it's burning the fat that you're consuming. Um, and now you're losing fat. But here's the deal, you probably have enough fat on your body to burn, right? So you don't have to consume tons of fat. So a lot of times the reason that keto works for people is because they're consuming more fat than they're used to. And so they're full. And so they don't eat as much. So it can work in that sense. And if that works for you, then great. Here's number three. Having 0% body fat is good for your health. False. I hope that's not who you're comparing yourself to. I hope you're not looking at these Instagram models or these uh, crazy ripped people that don't have anything to grab onto on their bodies. That's not healthy. Being overweight isn't healthy either, but being less than 5% body fat is really bad for your body, especially for long periods of time. And the things that you have to endure in order to get to 0% body fat, the habits that you have to live in, the starvation that you have to undergo, your body doesn't want you to live at 0% body fat. So, good rule of thumb, men should aim to be between 10% and 20%. Women should aim for about 15 to 25%. And so don't compare yourself to these Instagram models. Compare yourself to you. Um, Compare yourself to where you're at and try to better yourself. Last one, alcohol doesn't have an effect on muscles. False. That's a fable. Alcohol will limit your muscle gains because it keeps your body inflamed and it doesn't allow you to recover properly. Most of your energy in your body is then spent trying to recover from alcohol. Um, it doesn't mean that you can't have a drink here and there, but if you don't limit your consumption, alcohol will limit your muscle building. And so take it easy on the alcohol because it will limit your gains. Your body's energy won't be directed towards rebuilding muscle. And that is the key, is getting our bodies in a state where we're building more and more strength, more and more muscle. And as our strength goes up, our metabolism goes up. And even though you might not lose a ton of weight right off the bat in phase one, where you probably gain a little bit of weight, even as we build muscle, as your metabolism goes up, your weight will go down. So here's what I want you to focus on in the next month or in phase one. First, better your sleep habits. 6 hours to 9 hours every night. Get really good sleep. I will share what kind of melatonin I take, but if you have trouble sleeping, you should start to build some habits that help you relax at night. Um, I drink chamomile and peppermint tea. Um, they're both in here, one tea bag of each, one or two of these every night, and it helps me relax. Maybe turning off your cell phone or putting your technology away an hour before you go to bed. It's going to be really good for you. But you've got to get at least 6 to 9 hours of sleep every night if your body's going to recover, build muscle, and prepare you for your next workout. Next part of fueling is stretching every single morning, especially if you have a lot of joint issues. Um, if you have issues on your lower back, spend a lot of time stretching your lower back and the muscles around it. If you have issues with your hips, stretch those muscles around your hips. If you have issues with your knees, I have issues with my knees, and I have found that it's because I have really tight hamstrings and calves. And so when my hamstrings and calves are stretched and warmed up, then I'm feeling better. And so just stretch every morning and you're communicating to yourself and to your body, hey, we're gonna be moving around today. Um, we're not gonna be lazy today. We're gonna get our steps in. Um, Water goal 60 ounces every day. Should be pretty easy. This is a basic Nalgene water bottle. It's 32 ounces. Okay. So if I drink two of these a day, I hit my goal, 60 ounces. It's going to be really important that you stay hydrated, especially as you start working out. Keeps your body in recovery mode after you work out. And then this is the most difficult part of fueling, and it's just because it involves a little bit of math, but it's still really easy. Um, I want you to calculate and consume the proper amount of protein. Okay, here's how you do it. You take your ideal weight and you multiply that times zero point 0.6. Okay, your ideal weight times zero point 0.6 equals the grams of protein you should take in per day. Now, um, I'll give you my goal. I was at 270 last March. I'm currently at 215, but I've been wanting to get to 200. So if I did 200, that's my first goal. I eventually want to get down to like 185, 190, but my first goal is 200. So I take 200 times zero point 0.6. That's 120 grams of protein per day minimum. Okay. That's the minimum, zero point 0.6. That's not the high end. Science actually tells us zero point 0.6 is the minimum if you're trying to grow muscle and maintain new muscle. But if you really want to build muscle, take your ideal body weight times zero point 0.8. If you really, really want to build muscle, take your ideal body weight times 1 gram of protein per pound every day. Okay. So I know it sounds difficult, and some days it is a little bit difficult, but I'm giving tips along the way on our Facebook group that will help you get your ideal body weight in every day, your ideal protein intake every day. Um, so that's how you're going to be able to fuel yourself. And if you're not hitting those protein goals, you might be losing weight while you're exercising, and you might be you might hit your weight loss goal by the end of the year or whatever. But the bad news is the fat's going to come right back because you didn't build muscle in the process. You have to build muscle in the process because it will keep fat off in the future. Um, Now, just a piece of advice, you have to hit that water goal, 60 ounces a day if you're getting that much protein in. And you also need to up your fiber. Make sure you're getting healthy amounts of fiber, especially insoluble fiber, um, to so that your protein isn't jacking up your digestion. Okay, here's the last thing. I want you to examine your health as a whole. Do you have any vitamin deficiencies? Do you have food allergies? Do you have gut issues? Here's the big one. Are you pre-diabetic or insulin resistant? This is huge. You have to know this. Okay. You can go to an endocrinologist to talk with them about it, and they would then probably do some blood tests with you. There's other ways of testing it as well, but you need to know if you have insulin resistance, because what happens is if you have especially people that are overweight are very likely trending towards type 2 diabetes. Okay. So if you're pre-diabetic or you're insulin resistant, you'll eat sugar or even just carbs. And instead of your body using it as energy, your body will release insulin. The insulin will have no use because uh, your body can't use the sugar as energy. So you pee out the sugar, and the insulin is stored in your belly, and your belly gets bigger and bigger. Okay, so that's going to inform your nutrition once you figure that out, right? If you're insulin resistant, then which I was, um, I can help you along the way with that. But you've got to go see an endocrinologist or maybe your primary care doctor, get some of these basic lab tests done. Just ask, hey, can we get these things done through LabCorp? Because they have them. Food allergies, um, just like vitamin deficiencies. That's kind of a basic panel blood test. And then they can test your A1C levels to see if you're insulin resistant. But this is about overall health. If we start working out and exercising, but your overall health isn't increasing because you're not taking into account um, challenges within your body, then this is going to be a loss. But those are the goals that I want you to focus on in phase one. Um, I'll be encouraging you along the way in our Facebook group. You're welcome to post in there or chat in there. I'd love to hear how you're hitting your protein goals. Um, of course, there's more nutrition that we could discuss, but um, I want to hit that next month in our live stream. Right now, all I want you to focus on is this baby step of hitting your protein goal every day and working out 3 times a week. That's it. Um, that's super important. And yes, you might gain some weight because muscle weighs more than fat. But as you build strength, as you build muscle over time, your metabolism goes up and the fat will start to fall off. There is no magic pill. It's just patience and consistency. Start light, stay consistent, and you got this. Um, I know you can do it. I will be here along the way. Our community will be here along the way. Let's encourage one another and um, let's get into phase one.